We're outside today because it's so nice.
It's beautiful. No gloves, no coat. I even put on my straw hat just pretend it's summer.
So you'll hear dogs barking, trucks going by, neighbors yelling at us, all that good stuff. So we'll work on it. We'll live through it together. We will appreciate that.
That's Ozzy.
That's Ozzy.
Hey, how are
Hi.
you? Yeah.
I'm Corey.
I'm Lori.
Welcome back to our channel. What are we talking about today?
Footwear and different options you have for backpacking and hiking, and what you should consider before you go out and buy those amazing hiking boots.
One of our subscribers asked for a shoe recommendation. Are we going to give them a recommendation today?
Not a chance.
No, but what we will do is we'll give you some things to think about so that you can choose the right shoe for you.
So if you like what you've seen, you want to see more, hit like, subscribe, and share. Thanks for coming back. It's good to see you.
Very good. So the three different types of hiking footwear that we'll talk about is basically a hiking boot, a hiking shoe, and a trail runner. A hiking boot is usually considered a sturdy, I think maybe this is the closest I have to a hiking boot, not to foreshadow, but of what I use, but this is about the closest I have to it. Waterproof, rigid,
Good traction.
good traction, Vibram sole.
Durability, long term, right?
Yeah.
Usually.
Yep.
Yeah. Okay, so those are some of the characteristics of a boot.
A hiking shoe is probably a wider category. These are my Solomon's XA Pros. This is like a legit hiking shoe. Like they make this in high top form. I just chose to go with the low top myself. But this, again, it's real rigid, real strong, thick sole, great traction,
Okay.
right? And then the third option would be a trail runner. As you can imagine, much lighter weight, much softer sole, much more flexibility in it, although these are a little bit more rigid, which I kind of like these a little bit. So those are the kind of the three options. You want to talk about what options you like?
Sure. So I have always stuck with a hiking shoe once I realized that they made a hiking shoe. I always thought you had to have a boot to go hiking for years when I was young. So I have a Merrell hiking shoe that I really like, great traction. This particular brand typically offers a wider toe box, which is good for the shape of my foot. They also seem to be lower in the heel and around the ankles, which is good for me because I tend to end up with extra rubbing and blisters, which is another reason why I don't do a boot. I don't need more potential areas,
Hot spots.
points of contact. So these are beat. I've loved them. Got to figure out if I want to stick with this or head more toward this direction. Now, this is just a regular old jogger trainer, but the first time I wore these was on like an 8-mile hike. Not super strenuous, but it was the first time I could actually feel the ground kind of through my shoe, and I really liked that. There were rocky parts, smaller stones, and I felt more stable on them. And then I have like my typical, my actual running shoe that I use. If I could find the hybrid of these three where I could have the comfort and the feeling of the ground and the stability and traction of my hiking shoe, I think I'd be happy, which is why I think I'm going to lean the direction of going and trying on some trail runners.
Yeah. So some big differences. Hiking boots, shoes, a lot of times waterproof. Trail runner, not waterproof. So depending on the season that you're going, that may weigh in. If you're going to do a lot of winter stuff, you want waterproof, right? But if you're not doing winter stuff, it's probably unnecessary. Waterproof keeps water out, but it also keeps water in. So if your feet sweat a lot, it's not as breathable. It's not breathable really at all. So that's something that I factor. My feet get hot, and if my feet are hot, I'm uncomfortable.
And AKA grumpy.
Yeah. And so other thing with waterproof, it takes a long time to dry if they do get wet. Whereas a trail runner, they'll dry pretty quick. So that's one factor. Another thing to think about is weight. So my trail runner, I should have weighed it, as opposed to my hiking shoe, it's probably 40% lighter. That's about the average that they say, about 40% lighter.
So what difference does that make if it's on your feet? Because that doesn't seem like that would matter.
So it's thought that 1 pound of weight on your feet is the equivalent of carrying 5 pounds on your back. Kyle Hates Hiking, it's another YouTube channel. He said 1 to 6. So he's like 1 pound on the foot, 6 pounds on your back. So if you think about that, it's more tiring.
That makes sense if you're raising your legs and you've got those weights on your feet. Okay,
Yeah.
that makes sense.
So I mean, if you're planning on long hikes, that could be a factor, right? If you're planning on short hikes, it might not even be an issue at all for you. But if you're going to try and do like 15 or so miles, maybe 10 or more miles, the weight's going to start to factor in for you. So that's something to think about. You mentioned stability.
Yeah, some people buy, I think people like, I always wanted to buy hiking boots because I was worried about rolling my ankles. Never have, but why would that be? What do you think the reality of that is?
So I guess there's a couple different things with stability. The ankle, so is one. Kobe Bryant, I heard when he was picking or designing his basketball shoe, he looked at like a soccer shoe and he figured no one cuts, like makes sharp, quick turns more than soccer players. And soccer shoes are low cut, right? So it got him thinking about that. Now I think about like a tennis shoe. Tennis guys, they're all ankles. All they're doing all day is trying to roll their ankles, right? They're wearing low tops as well. So that high top, it might not be the support that you think it is. The other thing is something that you mentioned with being able to feel the ground more in those just joggers that you had. There's a whole line of thinking. If there's the hikinglife.com, there's an interesting article about it. A hiking boot, usually the sole is thicker, heavier, less flexible, so you can't really feel the ground as well. You step on a rock, you step on a root, something like that, the shoe doesn't give as much, and it could actually cause you to stumble more. That's actually something that I've found with my trail runners. You found them with yours, that there's a little bit more ground feel and connectivity to the ground, if that makes sense.
Yeah, that makes sense to me.
So that's kind of, in short, those are kind of the options. Lori wants maybe a hybrid between a hiking shoe and a trail runner. I'm going to go for a full-blown trail runner. Again, I absolutely love mine. I've worn them completely out. Like, this is only a season.
Say.
This is only a season and a half, and there's no tread
Hold
left
up your
on this.
Solomons, because that's the other thing to consider too, is just knowing that over time the wear on the trail runner, they probably are not going to maybe last as long.
They won't, for sure.
So that's something to consider if you don't want to go shopping for shoes on the regular.
These, I think, are like...
If you're money oriented.
When did we leave New York?
5 years, 6 years.
6 years ago? I bought these 6 years ago, and I've worn them a ton, and they're still tread.
Yeah.
These, I bought them a year and a half ago, and they're skis now.
But you've loved wearing them.
Oh, I've loved
So then
wearing
it just, again, it goes back to
So
what you
something
want
to
to
think about.
invest.
Yep, definitely something to think about. I went into a Fleet Feet is what I went into, but like Good Feet or whatever it is. Spend some time. Go in there, let them measure your feet, let them talk to you, try on different shoes.
They let me run around outside because if I'm buying running shoes, how does standing in the store help? So I got to run up and down the strip mall like an idiot, but it actually helped me pick between two shoes. So
yeah, we spent like an hour there.
Spend the time and money to go get educated about what feels best, and take your time. Go in there with having had a snack prior, so you're not grumpy, and just give it the time it deserves. Because for the amount of money you're going to spend, I think you want to make sure that you're making the best decision you can.
Yeah, I ended up coming out with a size and a half larger than I normally wear. So now I buy all my shoes a size and a half larger than I had in the past. I didn't realize how much I was suffering, but I wouldn't have known that if I didn't go in there and do the work. And I bought it from them because they did all the work for me. But my next ones I'll probably buy online. But so yeah, that's all the information that we have.
That's the spiel for you to maybe weigh some of these factors. These were the things that we thought about and what was important to us. So maybe that'll help you isolate the things you want to think about to make a decision.
Yeah, I think it was big to me when I thought about, okay, when am I really going to use these? Do I really need waterproof? Is that really the benefit that I think that it is? And then I think once we did the connectivity to the ground, I think that has weighed a lot for us. That's why we made the choices that we made. Hopefully we've helped you to make choices.
If there was anything we missed that you were wondering about, please feel free to put it in the comments and we can reply.
Yep, we can let you know. But until next time, I'm Corey.
I'm Lori.
Thank you for watching.
Right now, our cat is trying to take down the umbrella we have shading us from the direct sunlight, and she's going to visit. Tuesday, get down.
That's our setup. That's our cat. That's our grip. That's our key grip. Oh no. She's definitely coming down. That's our key grip though.
Okay, well now we got
Oh dear.